Ever felt like you're the rookie quarterback in the Super Bowl and completely overwhelmed? Well, I'm here to tell you that every single quarterback that's in their first Super Bowl is overwhelmed and feels like a rookie at some point, even if they're the most seasoned professional. So today we're going to unlock some of those secrets to becoming a professional real estate agent, to taking your game to maybe a different level. And whether you've sold 100 houses or 0 houses, there's something in this one for you, so stay tuned. What's up, guys? Jeremy Kane, Real Estate Agent Playbook. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're listening on the podcast, please share this with your favorite real estate agent, your favorite real estate professional. If you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. You can also share it there. But today we're going to kind of dive into that feeling of overwhelm and a lot of that stuff that comes, whether, and it usually doesn't come right away. The overwhelm at the beginning usually comes from, all the onboarding and getting all the boards and the MLS subscriptions. It usually comes once you've kind of hit the ground running, you have a little marketing going, you have some stuff, and then all of a sudden you have clients, and that's where the overwhelm hits. And if that's you, this one's for you. So let's get into it. And we're going to start with a question today. And I want you to comment below, get some engagement going here, and let's talk about that piece of your business that leaves you stressed out, or, that you just feel like you can't get a handle on. And we want to dial that in. And, I will go through the comments and I will, respond, but I also make future videos on that. So make sure you subscribe and we'll get into it. Okay, first things first, and I'm actually going to read this one because we talk systems and processes a lot, but today I was thinking, what's the actual definition of systems and processes? It's actually two things, and we just kind of simultaneously lump it together. It just means how things work and go from there. So the actual definition is, while systems and processes are closely related and often interwoven, within processes often being a part of a larger system, they are distinct concepts. A system is an overarching structure, while processes are the detailed methods of procedures that function within alongside that system. So systems overarching, processes are step-by-step in between, right? And so that's kind of the definition. Just wanted to make sure we had that laid out there, right? So, the system is the CRM, the process is adding clients, making notes, creating, campaigns. So you make sure you reach out, creating automatic emails, all of that stuff. So systems and processes, two very different things, and something that we need to make sure that we're not only focusing on great systems, but also great processes. And so back to the sports analogy, right? Just like a coach has that go-to play, that 3rd and 1, play, that 4th and goal play with time running out, what are we running? The tried and true plays, you need that in your systems. As a real estate agent, you need to make sure that it's, step by step, it's happening. And a lot of this comes from, in our current age, it's, we're so connected and we have masterminds, we have access to all these things. We're like, okay, what are you doing that works? Okay, something shiny, boom, I'm gonna do that. And so we never get really good. And as you guys know, if you've been a subscriber to the show or the podcast or the YouTube channel, I talk a ton about picking 3 pillars of your business and really dialing in and focusing on that. It's my 85-15 rule. 85% of your time should be spent on the tried and true pillars, running those plays, running those systems that work within the processes that, you've built over time, and 15% of your time on the new stuff, something shiny, and go from there. And so sometimes even when I get a little bit stressed out and I'm like, okay, my pipeline's a little low, I got to make sure I'm grabbing, then I start grabbing at all kinds of things. I'm trying to create all these things at one time and it gets difficult. So don't forget where you came from is the whole point. Don't forget, don't panic. And when the game's on the line in that pressure situation, you got to, kind of generate some business. Don't go to some random trick play that you've never run before. Go back to those pillars, focus in on them, dial those in, and you will absolutely see success. And so while we're talking about CRMs and kind of the brains behind the entire business, right? Make sure that you are focused on automation versus what you have to do. As a real estate agent, if you fully automate your business, you know what I'm going to say, you're going to be obsolete shortly because, you can automate certain times like, oh, when I, tag this client as this, they're going to get into this campaign. It's going to remind me to call them on ABC, like all of those things. That automation is great. And I don't, fault anyone for using that automation. It's when all of a sudden the automation is like, okay, they're going to get this, and then they're going to get a voicemail drop. And then, I'm just going to wait until they show up in my calendar to reach out to them. That's going to be a problem, right? And so even, with the Calendly links and things like that, I've had agents who are like, oh yeah, you have a referral, great, send them this Calendly link and book into my calendar. That's not what I'm looking for. I need that relationship. I need that professional touch, because if it has to be automated and this is the only way you operate your business on this end, then you're not going to take care of my clients like I would expect to take care of them, like I would take care of them on this end. So make sure that you're automating certain things, but understand that you cannot automate your personality. You cannot automate those things, those income producing activities that absolutely make it work for you. I can't automate this video in order to, increase my YouTube presence as, a real estate agent who wants to help agents win every single day at the game of real estate. I have to perform this video so that I'm bringing you content. It's real, it's raw, it's my personality. And so just be sure that you're not automating too much, especially in this age of VAs and, CRMs and AIs and all the things. Use it, right? I use it. I'll tell you that right now. I use all those things as automations, but then you have to put your personal touch. You have to be the driving force behind your real estate business. Otherwise, those companies that are driven on automation and tech will be much better at the game than you are all the time, because that's their focus, right? I will never be able to, provide a search engine and create such a platform like Zillow, but what I can provide is something that they can't. And so I hold on to that dearly, and I would too if I was you. And that right there is probably a super important point. So if you got anyone, a realtor buddy, anybody in the game, share this podcast, share the YouTube link, whatever you got to do to get the word out, because that's absolutely the game changer in my business. Is automate what you can, be proficient over here, and then make sure that when it's time, when it's go time, when the lights are on, you're the one on the field calling the plays, running the shots, providing the service to your people. So then you get to a point where, okay, you have the perfect flow, you have a daily workflow, you have what you're getting locked in, you're doing your morning routine, you're doing your ending day routine, and everything's good, right? The automations are working. They're providing you tasks. They're almost scheduling your calendar for you. No, not your appointments. They're not running your appointments. They're not doing those things. And now you have the income producing activities that you have to lock into, right? You have to lock into that Power 5, the Andy Frisella Power 5 list. You have to do those things, and then you're able to. And then you go to your checklist of tasks, check those off, and then you're good. You're done. You've had a successful day. And then obviously, once you get to that, once you're in that mode, once you're taking care of that, you're doing your calendar, you're doing all the things, then all of a sudden the automation is a perfect marriage to the income producing activities, because you're putting your time where it needs to be, right? I meet with real estate agents all the time about their calendar and help them understand, okay, this is where your income comes from. This is how much income you need. So we need to make sure we're doing this, right? And dialing this in. Oh, your family's super important to you. We need to probably have them on the calendar when you're needed and when you want to be with them. Because if your family's the most important thing to you and they're not on your calendar, guess what happens? They get suppressed. And eventually, there's a disconnect, and that's not what we need to do. As my sponsor, Louis, says, he didn't get into real estate to get divorced. So we need to make sure that we're operating within our calendar. But once you have these automated tasks and the things, the Eisenhower matrix and all the things that Louis talks about, you can really dial that in and make sure that you're being as proficient and productive as possible using all the systems and processes that you create. So again, just like that CRM, the best CRM is the CRM you use. Then that's the same thing for all of your systems and processes. The best systems and processes are the ones that you use and engage with and have an automated side and have a, MVP game time player side. So one of these things is your digital portfolio, right? Your social media portfolio, whatever it is. Think of this as, when an NFL team has the number one pick in the draft, they're going to look at everything, right? They're going to Google you. They're going to dive in. They're going to check, school records. They're going to check criminal records. They're going to check everything, right? And so if you have that profile set up and you can actually tell the team, like, here you go, like, open book, here I am. then you're good to go. The problem with real estate agents is when they get busy, they forget about these systems and processes. They forget, okay, we need to get a testimonial from them. We need to send out a closing gift. We need to do all of these things that engage our clients and, make them feel good so that we get XYZ from them. Then all of a sudden when it gets slow, they're like, okay, now I need to go get all my testimonials from the last year. I need to send this out. I need to send that out, whatever it is. But if the systems and processes are in place, when you get busy, these things are taken care of. And then all of a sudden you have that portfolio, right? When you're showing someone your portfolio, be like, hey, check out my Facebook page. This is how I market my listings. This is what I do. It kind of incorporates that know, like, and trust factor already. If you don't know the person, they're seeing what you're doing with your family and they're seeing your lifestyle and they're seeing, okay, yeah, I can relate to that. Okay, Jeremy's probably not going to be available at 10:30 at night. And if that's the only time available, maybe we're not a good fit or whatever that is. Open up that portfolio, right? Be careful what you put on social media if that's what you're using as your portfolio, but you should have something. I was just at a meeting yesterday with an agent who works in several MLSs. Right? And she's like, well, my numbers don't show this. Well, your numbers don't show this on the MLS, but if you have a spreadsheet of your numbers and you can put it on the table and say, this is, what I've done, then maybe you're not losing that listing to, somebody from a luxury, brand that has a team behind them. And it's just like hiding and delegating behind all these things until they were like, well, we do more business than her, which isn't true because they're looking at one MLS and you serve 5 or whatever that is. So just make sure that you have some sort of portfolio. It can be in paper if that's your style, but do the things that you do every single time for every single client. And as you get, in that routine, then automations can kind of help remind you to do those things. But again, you have to show up. And then the last thing we're going to kind of dive into is you must adapt, right? Here's the deal. I know it's been pretty easy over the last 3 years to be an agent, maybe, 3 out of the last 4 years or whatever you want to say. But you have to understand that the niche and all of that stuff, some niches come, some niches go, right? There's not a lot of people that are moving just for fun right now. So if your niche is in that piece of it, whether it's families or, whatever, young professionals, anything that, seems to be slowing down, you need to pivot a little bit and find another pillar, right? So you can have your 3 pillars, you can make it work, but that 15% that I've talked about is super important as well, because this is a time where you can be like, okay, these are the winners of the market. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to build this right. It's still a pillar. It's still not 25 different things at once, but it's a pillar of your business that you're going to expose, that you're going to dial in, do it right, create from the ground up. And then all of a sudden you will have that as a pillar when the market comes back and maybe your niche comes back. I'm not saying completely ignore and burn that down, but I am saying that if you're steadfast in what you're doing, and this is how I did it, and I got all these Zillow leads and all of a sudden Zillow leads are gone, then what are you going to do, right? You're going to adapt, but don't make it until it's 0, right? Don't make it, I can't pay my rent this month, so I'm going to have to, I have to build another pillar, because these pillars will take time, right? So make sure you're looking at the market and you're diving in all those stats so that you're ahead of the game. So, okay, this, maybe a winter's coming. Maybe I should, shift over here to, the estate market or the divorce market or, whatever that is, and make sure that you are doing all the right things, in the meantime to make that happen. Because if there's a gap, then all of a sudden, I have to, get another job and I have to create income somehow. So this is what I'm going to do. And then all of a sudden it becomes transactional, not relational. And that's where we get in trouble. So getting back to those systems and processes, it kind of goes from, all aspects, from your clients to your industry relationships to your, to your pillars of your business, all the way through, right? The financial systems of your business, all of that should be in some sort of way on a system and process that works for you, that you understand. So you should have an overarching system. This is how it works. You should have processes within that to make it happen. So I hope that helped. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe. If you're on the podcast, would love a 5-star review, and share, like I said, share the show with anybody that, may come across this as valuable in their business. So other than that, it's time to get in the game. It's time to lace up your sneakers, right? You got to keep score. A football game wouldn't be very fun if there was no scoreboard. So you have to have your systems and processes, and you have to know what's going on, know your numbers, know what the market's doing, all the things, so that you're prepared to make any shifts in your systems and processes that are needed, or maybe add a new system when the time comes, because if you're ahead of the game, if you're watching the scoreboard, you can kind of see things on the horizon. If you wait till they're here and you're standing on top of the horizon, you're in trouble. So please like, comment, subscribe, go get a win today. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.